Okay, the next part, the next unit that we have to study is passive voice. Passive voice is something that is slightly difficult to understand but not very difficult, and of course you have questions from these for around 3 marks. Okay, so this one is something that we'll have to definitely understand. In your school days, in your younger days in school, you have definitely learnt about the two voices. I'm not saying about your voice and the teacher's voice. It's not those two voices that I'm talking about. It's the active and the passive voice. So active voice is one wherein the speaker becomes prominent. The person who is doing the action becomes prominent. And it's the opposite. Let us gradually learn about this. Okay. In this one, whatever examples I have written here, they are all both in active and passive voices. What is the beauty of passive voice? I'll be telling you first. Passive voice form is always more and more polite. Okay, it does not render a very harsh effect on the listener. So it is very polite and it can be nice to hear and read it. It expresses the action that is performed on the subject. Continuing with the whatever point I have written there, I will talk to you about this one, this example, first one. Let us understand what is a subject and what is an object in a sentence. Marcus eBay built a palatial house. This is one sentence that's taken from your text. Marcus eBay built a palatial house. Who built the house? Marcus eBay. So Marcus becomes the subject. What did he do? He built a house. So it is that built is a verb. And a palatial house. What did he build? He built a very big house. Okay. So that becomes the object. Subject and object. Subject becomes important. Who built the house? Who built the palatial house becomes very important. So it is Marcus eBay built a palatial house. Subject, verb and the object. This is in active mode, or this is in the active voice, wherein the subject is considered as an important factor and the object is pushed to the end of the sentence, which means that it is very less vital. When I change this into a passive voice, as I have been doing here, what action is done on the subject is shown. A palatial house was built by Marcus eBay. When I change it, the object becomes the subject and the subject takes the place of an object. That means the subject in the first sentence becomes very less important. He is sometimes neglected also. So what is given importance here is what action was done, what work was performed on the subject becomes more important. So whenever we change from an active voice to a passive voice, the subject and the object, they interchange and they take the different places. They interchange and take their different places. What happens next grammatically is the verb that was in the simple past tense. The verb that was in simple past tense, it takes the form of a past perfect tense. We have studied about the perfect tenses, and when we talk about the perfect tense, we understand that it is a combination of two past tenses. So here we have a past tense here and another past tense here. So we have two past tenses, and the verb that was in simple past, it goes to past perfect tense, and the subject, it goes on to the object's place. That is how it is changed. There is an additional word, that is by, which tells us that by whom the action is done. Okay, so the sentence changes to this one. A palatial house was built by Marcus eBay. So Marcus eBay, who was very prominent in the active voice, has become less prominent in the passive voice, and the object becomes the prominent factor. Now this kind of writing, passive voice writing, is used usually in science, factual and journalistic writing. Whenever we have to write about science writings or articles, we say for example, we say the electric bulb was discovered by Thomas Alva Edison. So whenever we talk about discoveries, whenever we talk about other things, we use the passive voice. Even in the journalistic and the factual ones, the students were made to sit quietly in the examination hall. Okay, so the students were told that there were only 10 minutes remaining. That is what is a passive voice. The instructions that are given, and also the journalistic, like for example, the flyover was inaugurated by. So what was inaugurated, it becomes more important. By whom becomes very less thing. You know, what action was done becomes more and more prominent. So next point in this passive voices, there is more focus on the action, but the agent, as I have been telling you, the agent who does that, he becomes very less important. He is not given too much of importance at all. Many a times the agent is not considered also. Many a times he becomes submissive, he becomes hidden. As in this example, the ministers told the criminal to run away is another sentence. The ministers told the criminal to run away. Now let us quickly mark what is the subject and what is the object. What is the object and subject here? The ministers become the subject. Who told? It is the ministers who told that. So they become the subject. And what did they tell the criminal? They told the criminal to run away. Criminal to run away becomes the object. Okay. And more so, it is the criminal who becomes the object. So it is the criminal, he is the object here. So we have the ministers told the criminal to run away. Now when I put it in passive form, the criminal was told to run away. I've stopped at that. I've just stopped at that, trying to tell you that the subject becomes immaterial. The subject is not necessary at all many a times. What was the instruction given to the object, that itself stands as an important one. So here the ministers, whoever told them, they have been hidden, they have become submissive. The criminal was told to run away. By whom, it does not matter, but he was told to move away from that place becomes very important. As I had written here, the focus is on the action and not on the agent. More and more importance is given on the action that is being done. It is on the instruction that is being given to the person. Finally, we have one more example. The poet creates heaven on earth. You remember, all the three have been chosen from your textbook itself. Similarly, even in your examinations, most of the questions will be from your, especially in grammar, most of these things, they will be from your text only. So you don't have to panic too much. The poet creates heaven on the earth. And here when I change it to passive voice, I have heaven is created on earth by the poet. I have not taken the poet into the beginning. So I have just written heaven is created on earth. All these have to be here, is created, because it is creates here. So I have put it in the same tense. I have put it in the simple present tense by the poet. So the poet becomes less important and less vital. So this one is how you change from active voice to passive voice. Having learnt all these things, like keeping these 4 points in mind, what we have to understand is passive voice is more polite, and best thing that you have to understand is what action is being done. You have to focus on that. You don't have to focus on the agent. The agent or the subject, sometimes it becomes less important. That we have to keep in mind. So next we will be discussing about few questions from your question paper. Either 2 or 3 questions from your question paper we'll be discussing, and then probably that will help you to understand how to change this one. There are many times it is hidden off. You will understand when I write the questions on the board, you will understand that this passive form is slightly difficult because you'll have to put in the third form or the perfect tense or the participle form of the verbs. Okay, we'll now work on the exercises from question papers. Okay, after having learned the way of changing from active to passive voice, we have very simple 3 examples from your question papers. We'll learn now how to solve them. Okay, when you look at the sentence, similar to how we had in verbs, when you look at a sentence, you will understand that the clue will be given to you that you will have to put it in passive voice. Okay, that question, it is very evidently shown here. Anywhere you have this word, by, and it tells you that it is, somehow you get a hint that it is in passive voice, and therefore you keep writing it or changing it into passive voice. Remember one thing, unlike your exercise on verbs, there will be no auxiliary supporting the answer. There will be no auxiliary that will help you to add or fit into it. So it's just plain verbs, main verbs that are given in the question. The first one here, the criminal dash sentence for death, sentence for life. A guard dash over him every day the food dash bring by the guard from the palace kitchen. So we will understand by the word by here that it has to be in passive voice. So the criminal, what was he done to? This one, as I told you, the verb that is here, the main verb that is here, it has to be changed into the perfect tense form with the third form of the verb that is written there. So here, if I write this sentence, I'll have to first change it into past tense, that means sentenced, and the third form, if possible, you will have to put there. It is not possible, so it is sentenced only, and I have to change it in the perfect tense, so I'll have to put past tense again, because we know it was already sentenced. So it has to be the criminal was sentenced. The criminal was sentenced for life. A guard, again here, place becomes placed, and to it we have to add a perfect tense or another past tense. So it has to be was placed over him. Every day the food, again here for bring, it is brought. The food was brought by the guard from the palace kitchen. So it is as simple as that. Usually it has to be it will be in the simple form only, but sometimes the verb, it might take a irregular form, and when it is an irregular verb, you'll have to be very careful in choosing your perfect tense or the participle form of it. Otherwise, I think this should be a very easy exercise for all of us to finish it off. The next question that I have written, I have chosen from Tamanna and Basavaya's story, that is Gardener. The rivalry between Tamanna and Basavaya increased day by day. 200 acres of Tamanna's land, what had happened to it? Tamanna's land was taken away. It was taken away by Basavaya. So Basavaya took it off. So Tamanna's land, again acquire is here. First change it into past tense form, that becomes acquired. Then after you get that past tense form, put it in the perfect tense. So you will have to add one more past tense to it. So that becomes was acquired. Was acquired by Basavaya. A fence, build. So it has to be built. B-U-I-L-T, built. And this one, fence was built around Tamanna, around the land. Tamanna, now here again it is was advised. Was advised by his supporters about the various means of getting back his land. So this one, as I told you, it usually happens to be in a very simple way of changing from the active voice to the passive voice, and it will be a very simple transformation, change of the words from the given simple present to the past perfect tense. The third one, roof, no, to everyone. Roof knew to everyone. Roof, yes, it has to be what? I have to take, as I told you, this is an irregular verb here. Know, knew, known. Okay, now I have to take the third form of it. Roof, known. That is the third form. Roof is singular. So what should I write here? What form, what verb has to be written here? It is a singular verb. So it has to be roof was known to everyone in Umofia. The campaigner of POP party met him. No words, words, past tense. Again, here waste is given. Wasted itself is given. So I just write wasted, and then what do I write here? When I am talking about words, they are plural. So again I have to write the plural verb here. That means it will be were. Past tense and plural verb. No words were wasted between them. Roof, again, roof is singular. Give, the perfect form of it. Give, gave, given. Okay, so it is given. Roof, given. Again, if I have to add a verb there, roof is singular. Past tense for that was, will be was. Roof was given £5 to cast his vote for Maduka. So this way, when you get more and more exercises, you take the study material, you have lot more of exercises wherein you can easily do all these things. As simple as this, first change from the present tense into the past tense or the participle form of it. If it is an irregular verb like this, know or give, you will have to change it into the participle form and then add a past tense to it, a past tense auxiliary to it depending on the subject. Okay, subject verb agreement has to hold good there. Then you will have to change all these things and give a beautiful answer like this. Tell you students, it's not at all very difficult to do all this, provided you understand the basic concept. Once you understand the concept and start practicing, you can't understand, you feel some difficulty, please go back to your teachers and ask them whether it is possible, whether it is correct or not. Then you can learn all these things. Okay, so this was about passive voice, the exercises on passive voice. We'll meet in another session of grammar in the next sessions.